But. But now, O Lord, thou art our Father, and we are the clay. And thou art the potter, and we are all the work of thy hands. I messed up and went to Isaiah 65 and 8 and thought I was in the wrong country. I actually called D. I said, D, let me make sure I got this one right. He said, no, it's 64. I'm in 65. And listen to what 65 said. It says, thus said the Lord, as the new wine is found in the cluster. And one said, destroy it not, for the blessing is in it. Destroy not them all. He had not destroyed them all. I want to talk about let's blame God. We need to have some type of coat rack to hang all of the mess of our society on. We need to come up with some direct answers to why are there drug-infested areas in every one of our cities. We need some answers. We need some answers on how we'll spend billions of dollars on a campaign for president every 4 years, and yet folk are starving right here.
Come on.
I can afford to fly 2 jets at one time, called Air Force 1 and 2, so you can figure out which one he on. We need to be able to leave here today and have some answers to why the crime and why the killings and let's blame this stuff on God. You don't all know Uzi. All right. I know y'all own some stuff. None of you know how to make plastic bombs. So who is it that we can leave and point our fingers to and say, you made this mess?
All right now. All right now.
Can we blame it on God, y'all? You are the creator. You got the patent on the earth. And the Lord is all yours. You said the sky and everything belongs. I'm using your stuff, God, on you. Since you said who you are, let's blame the atrocities and the tragedies and all the stuff that's happening in our world. Let's all point our finger and say, God, you did it. I was not here when you formed the earth.
Yes, sir. Right.
I wasn't here when you skipped and put the dirt up and made water and separated from dry land. I wasn't even here on Calvary now, was I?
All right now.
So therefore, you ought to have something to blame on God.
Yeah, right.
The general theme of this last part of the book of Isaiah is the divine principle of discrimination.
Yes, sir.
More particularly, it's the idea and the theme of the patience of Israel's prayer and Jehovah's response and the mixing of their final destinies.
Yes, all right.
Isaiah is an old man now, and he's about to end this book, and the book of Isaiah is a book of prayers. And so when they came to the solution that the results of this rebelliousness and this effect on people was so tremendous that the children of Israel had lost their grace with God. Isaiah, in his last attempts to try to reform this relationship between God had and his people brought him to the point of them coming to themselves to figure out where they had lost their connection. This 64th verse is the final plea of the prayer that comes in a 3-4 form. They again plead to the fatherhood of God who had made them, and the potter makes the vessel out of a clay. His holy city Zion and Jerusalem were a wilderness and desolation. Their holy and beautiful house was burned and fired, and all of their precious pieces were wasted. They urged them the things that should remove God in pity, and they used God's stuff on God.
All right.
When the complaint comes to them, they said, "Oh Lord, you made us. You're the potter, and you're the one that put us on the wheel. And Father, I think that if anybody ought to be blamed for what's happening to us, it ought to not be us, but it ought to be you."
Come on now.
So we've decided to take a vote that we're going to blame God. And so he looks in God's book to blame God.
Come on now. Come on.
And we found some writings from Jeremiah. And he said that since we are just clay, we're not responsible.
All right.
Since we have been molded in somebody else's hands, it's not our fault.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
You see, Lord, I'm just clay. I didn't make myself. I didn't put myself on the wheel and make myself turn around.
All right.
You did that, God, and we want to blame it on you. But I stopped by to tell somebody we are in a world that is under construction.
All right.
If you've ever took a ride from the south side of downtown, coming back to this side, if you don't know where you're going,
All right now.
your GPS ain't finna help you now.
All right.
Because they are under construction. Now, you need to understand here that there is a difference between under construction. Because constructions have to be completed. Anytime you see a construction that is not completed, eventually it becomes a ruin. Let me say it again, you didn't catch it. If you've ever seen a building that they started to build, they got the farm set up to build. They got ready to lay the foundation for the building. But they walked away from the building and never getting anything off the ground. Eventually, they don't call it a construction no more. They don't call it a building in the making anymore. They don't call it something in the future anymore. It becomes a tragedy and a ruin. It is an indictment against God to tell God that you are under construction. God said, "What do you mean under construction? I took 6 days to form the earth, and that was good. I took 1 day to make man, and that was good." Now what you're saying to me is, God, you made me a halfway person. God, you made my left foot longer than my right foot. God, you made my head bigger on this side than you did on that side. So you see, the way I came out is not my fault. You are the potter, and all I am is the clay. But I stopped by to tell somebody, God does not finish his work. Would you be surprised to know that you are everything God made You walk around looking at yourself, saying, I'm a messed up piece of clay. Some folks say I'm too fat. Some folks say I'm too thin. But God said, never underestimate. You are just what I want you to be. When I look at you, you are a finished construction. God would not put you here if you were still under construction. God would not have ever made you and forget to put all of you in you. You are everything that God wants you to be. Then I had to finally go to the verse I thought was a mistake. And here is where I found my preaching country at. It says here, look, it's not about the clay nor the pot. It's about what's inside of the pot. I wish you'd hear me today. It's not about how your vessel looks on the outside. God ain't worried about you on the outside. But it's what's on the inside of you. So your completeness will never be made on the outside. You don't believe me? Get old and see yourself die in your hair. And after a while, the white strings will come right back. You are not under construction. You are complete in the eyes of God. But if the inside of your vessel got some stuff in it that God can't use, if on the inside of your vessel it's dirty and on the outside not, if on the inside of your vessel, who are you going to blame? God? Blame God, it's all right. But if you're going to blame God, you need to blame him for some other stuff. Blame him for your joy. Blame him for your peace. Blame him for you having another day. Blame him for giving you family. Blame him for church home. Blame him for good or well health. Blame the Lord. If you're going to blame him for everything. Don't just blame me for heavy, for a little bit. You don't blame me when I get my car towed up. Blame me when they give me a brand new car. So my brothers and sisters, we are under construction, but we are not a piece of work. God finished us on Calvary. And if you're still working on a building, a true foundation, remember that constructions don't last always. It's sad for a 75-year-old Christian to be talking about, please be through with, don't be patient with me. God should have been through with you. And we excuse ourselves. But God, I'm under, now you a cusser, you just a cusser. But he ain't through with you. He didn't put that in you. It says he will finish and complete in the day of his time. Yes, I'm still being worked on. But I'm not metal, I'm not wood, I'm not brass, I'm human. And God put everything in you for the journey when you started. Thank God for the church that tells you where you are. Thank God for the relationships that tell you where you're going. And thank God for seasoned saints to tell you where they've been. There are some people who will never admit that you are what you are. God ain't working on you, that's you. Whether you're not a church goer or whether you are or whether you committed, that's totally you. And the children of Israel wanted to blame God for putting them in the shape that they're in. Lord, you the potter. Whatever I am, you the one put me on that wheel. But then I messed around and went to another chapter. And it says Clay. Your blessing ain't you, it's in you.
All right.
And if you walking around thinking you the blessing, keep on living. Mentally bugs gonna catch up with you. If you think you the blessing, you keep on in them fine curly shapes you got. There's finna be a Coke bottle after a while. Or 50 ounce. Thank you so much for allowing us to come again this year. And to remind ourselves, if you're gonna blame God, blame Him for everything. Don't just use a smorgasbord. I'm gonna blame Him. No, I ain't gonna. No. If you're gonna blame Him for your good and your bad. It says the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. I can blame God for everything.